A
I'm
sound
ready.
check. You're ready?
I'm ready.
What about you, George? Are you ready?
I don't know. I don't know if my sound's ready.
Sounds good on my end. I don't know about yours, George. Have you done a sound check?
Yeah, just doing one right now. It looks good.
Go.
Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
This episode of Gay Table is brought to you by Valhalla Hobby. Use code TABLED to get 5% off any order over $100, one use only. That's valhallahobby.com.
Brought to you by some guys on the internet.
This is Getting Tabled.
With your hosts Jason the Bruce,
You guy!
George the Yang,
I hope you are all entertained by my inaptitude.
Jason aka Major Socks.
We've been doing this and talking about various stuff. One of the stuff.
Now sit back, relax, and get tabled.
Hello, future people, and welcome to episode 124 of Getting Tabled with your host, Bruce.
Hello, folks. We're back for another fortnight. Me with my very carefully placed microphone. If you know what I'm talking about, and you've noticed it, then you know what I'm talking about. We also have the main man, the man with the regular lighting. It's Major Socks.
Yeah, as you can tell, I've got nice white lighting compared to my co-hosts who have green and we'll call it teal for George up there.
Yeah, I've got some sort of color filter setting going on that's weird because the light is very green. It's so green I see purple after I stare at it.
Anyways, back from for another episode. What are we on?
124, I think.
Four? Yeah,
I said that 124.
Yep.
that's right. You did say that.
It's good to know you guys listen to me.
What? We listened?
Did you hear something, Socks?
No, I didn't.
Maybe we should talk about some news. George will join us eventually.
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
All right, and we're starting off. I figured we'd start with Blacksite Studios. We did kind of talk about what this was last episode, but it is actually live now, and we have prices and so forth, so it's actually worth having a look at. The Breacher Backroom has started for Blacksite Studios. So Breacher is very much... Where Don't Look Back is a horror movie, but on the tabletop. This is an action movie, but on the tabletop. It's very asymmetrical in the way that it's been designed. You'll basically have your player that's very much... It's a one-man army type thing. It is your John Wick. It is your Arnold Schwarzenegger in anything that he's ever been in. Versus the bad guys, that's your hordes of bad guys and so on and so forth. I've actually really been enjoying what I've been looking at, to be honest. What we will notice, however, is that this is... Where Don't Look Back was kind of insanely huge and included everything. They kind of realised that because it included everything, there's so many things that go wrong. They're trying to consolidate what these offerings are and make it so that delays in that happen less frequently and there's more stuff that they can control. So there's definitely still some really nice stuff here on offer. Like you can buy the rulebook for basically $35. That includes the core rulebook. It has some simple tokens in there that you can photocopy and stuff. But there is also an upgrade that you can purchase for the cover, which actually comes signed. I think largely you're paying for the fact that there's only 100 of this version available and the fact that it's actually signed and numbered by the actual writer of the game. Just for the record, the price that's on the cover upgrade is literally that. It's just an upgrade. It's not the full thing, so you would purchase that on top of your regular package. There's a digital bundle for basically $70, which is everything but digital. So you've got printable versions of all the tokens, printable versions of all the cards, the rulebook, and STLs. And then we get into Tier 1, which is, I think, what most... Oh, no, up the top.
Well, yes,
looking at rules
yeah.
only, there's... So for $60, you're getting the rulebook, the cards, and the tokens. I think that's probably where most people will end up going. It's actually really affordable. Tier 2 is the same thing, but then it also comes with all of your minis. which is the better part of $150. This is all going to be resin, obviously. So you get 6 different breacher minis, and then you get a whole heap of civilians and hired guns and whatever stretch goals happen. Then we get down into the terrain bundles. Personally,
Which look nice.
I really like the first one. Oh, well, they're both nice, but I really like the first one because I'm looking at that and going, ooh, I could use that in Entropy City. Not that I need any more Entropy City terrain, but it's just where...
Yeah, I was going to say those stacked shipping containers would be perfect.
Yeah, throw a bit of rust on them, and that's all that you really need to do.
And the beat-up warehouse, too, is pretty appropriate
really like
as
that
well.
Warehouse, yeah. So, yeah, and then there's this one over here that's very much kind of a
Middle
Eastern European type area. And then we're getting into our unlocks, which is going really well for them, honestly. The next one is Solo Rules, which is to be unlocked. So I think that's probably one that a lot of people will be excited for. And then we get into all of the other stuff that you can buy if you want. So
they're less than 1,000 away from that. So
yeah, I have not backed this at this stage because I'm trying to be smart with my purchases. I'm in the middle of developing a game of my own, so realistically, I don't get a lot of time to play other things. And we'll go into more about that later. But, yeah. I'm really liking what I'm seeing here. I think I definitely want a copy of this game at some point. The thing I like about this is that you really could play this with whatever minis you wanted. If you're in a place like me where like getting the minis and stuff from Black Site Studios is, let's say, difficult. It's not hard. It's just difficult because
cost prohibitive.
There is a video on our YouTube channel that went live on Wednesday that talks about something I've been researching for the last 18 months, and I've literally been saving myself hundreds of dollars. I saved myself $90 on the terrain that I purchased last year. That was the trailer park that I purchased. I saved myself $70 on... This is all rounding up, by the way. On the Don't Look Back stuff, I saved $70 on shipping for that, and I saved roughly $40 on the Himetsu package because it was a smaller package. So
nice.
Definitely worth watching if you're in an area where the shipping is prohibitive. The other one from Black Site Studios is not live yet. We kind of teased this last time as well, but Night Thirst is coming on February 14th, which is just... I love the fact that they're releasing this on Valentine's Day. That's hilarious. And this is done by Whittle. We generally call her Witty on the Twitch half the time. This is somebody that's been involved with Black Site Studios for a while. She's like done quite a few unboxings and stuff for them. She also features as a mini in one of Malev's games. In Demon Ship, there's a miniature you can buy of Whitty. This basically is a world where it's a vampire's world. It is kind of still work in progress at this stage. It's not out yet. Going up for pre-order on the 14th. The vampires kind of like they've got the government in their pocket, and the government has allowed these competitions to happen at a certain time. And there's all different sorts of vampires. It's very much Vampire the Masquerade-esque, where all of the vampire tropes that you can think of are all there, and they're all different families and stuff. And they're all competing to see who can suck the much blood, essentially. I'm oversimplifying it, but at this stage, there's obviously only so much information that's out there too. But It's going to be a battle royal. It's kind of another one of these. You can kind of do whatever you want with it to some extent. It sounds like it should be a lot of fun. And Whittle Goblin is really, really fun to chat with. She's definitely somebody I'd give a follow to. But that's it on the Black Site Studios front. Shall we talk about this small unknown company from the UK? Because we got a whole bucket load of previews this week. So LVO's happening, Las Vegas Open. This is one of the 6 or 7 times a year where they do their large previews time.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, it is first quarter, so...
Yeah, this is the first major one of the year. One of these ones is one I've been waiting for quite literally a decade. It's not this one, although this does. I actually do like the look of this. So this is the new kill team that's coming. We've got Night Lords, and the Night Lords look honestly fantastic. Like obviously that's much more detailed than what we've seen previously. They do feel very much. Night Lords are just horror, vampiric looking things, although they're not the vampire Space Marines, but that is basically where a lot of their stuff comes from, looks wise. I really like the look of those. They look like a lot of fun. I quite like the blood that's dripping off that that blade. Although you could easily make that blood. That's like poison that's dripping off the blade. You could easily make that blood. And the I can't think what they're called, but the blade things, the Wolverine claws is what I'm going to call them. I know they have a
Lightning
proper name.
claws.
Lightning claws. That's it. And then we also have
The drow?
well, they're space drow. This basically looks like a shadow elf thing what featured in Warcry. And I want to say that they've sci-fied it, but they really haven't. I actually really like the look of this, to be honest. But they look way too close to the things that they did in Warcry. They don't really feel 40k at all.
No, they look more Sigmar-esque. With the exception of the couple, the swords, the way the handles are shaped and designed, they have a very Wraith feel from Stargate Atlantis. These don't look anything 40k enough for me at all.
I mean, maybe it'll come up to how you paint them. Maybe you can paint up the blades to make it look like there's power surging through them or something. But I think there's been a misstep here, personally.
Now, one thing I will give these a lot of credit for, and it will take someone with a good fair amount of skill, the patchwork leather robes that they're wearing. That wouldn't be too hard for someone with some skill to, make it look like skin.
Yep, that's exactly where my mind was too. If you really want to go gross, that's the direction you want to go. Like the shadow power thing there, where he's kind of like got this cloak that he's hiding behind type thing. Personally, I don't like the red in it. I think I would probably go like, I'm tempted to say blacks and blues, so it's kind of similar to the skin. Maybe, I don't know, or just stick with black and grey.
I will say this:
that it feels off.
I am thoroughly enjoying the sculpted flame that is part of the mini.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I also love what they've done with the tattoos in that way too.
Because that's just something that's like, it adds so much more to the action and dynamic of that miniature with that flame on it like that. And that's something that only a small percentage of could do that, after putting it together.
I really do like the look of these. The only issue that I have is that they don't feel like they fit in the world.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I kind of want to flip the script on these entirely and make them be extremely pale with really dark hair, because then they look like the girl from The Ring. And I actually think that would look really good. I mean, I know they're supposed to be dark elves, but in space, but that's just where my head goes because of the way that the hair's been styled and stuff. Just make them go really emo.
Although, here's my argument, though. Yes, they look like the drow and, underdark and no light. Usually things that exist like that, they have no pigmentation, so they should be white.
Yeah, that is true.
Oh.
That's a really old argument, but you are right. Next
Of course
up,
I'm right.
It does happen sometimes. Next up, speaking of Warcry, so we get a next look at the box for Warcry. This has kind of been very Marmite, this one. The ghostly guys essentially look the same as all of the other ghostly guys that they like, that they've done. I actually do like the look of these, but they kind of all feel like they're the same at this point. However, this last preview of the ghosts here, where they've kind of flipped the script on how they're painted, makes me really want to do that with all of them, because I actually really like the white, and then
The paint jobs on those are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I mean the paint jobs on all of them are phenomenal, but I really like the going with the white sheets, and because that's what ghosts are supposed to be
Yeah.
theoretically, right? And then it also means because the magic and the fire and stuff amongst them kind of gets lost because it's meant to be like dark flame, right? Where against the white sheet, it really stands out. Of course, painting white on a Games Workshop mini is a nightmare, but I actually think that would be worth the frustration. Just don't use Citadel paints and you'll have a wonderful time.
Yeah.
And then for some reason...
I was going to say...
Yeah.
Good.
You go.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, for some reason, the next ones, when Beasts of War were talking about these guys, they couldn't quite picture what they were supposed to be. These are very clearly supposed to be Lumineth models. They're just Lumineth models that are in Warcry. I actually think these are probably amongst the better... I didn't like the original Lumineth. I do like these, though.
These have a very... kind of a golden compass, like...
Yeah?
Steampunk kind of vibe to them. With
no, I can see that.
With the armor.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
What's the character from Street Fighter with the
Vega?
mask and the... Yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting from, is like the very Vega vibe.
Yeah, I could see that. What was the other comment you were going to make, or did I kind of say what you were going to say?
So I said what I was going to say after you said it.
Okay.
The very the Golden Compass-esque type feel to them. With the knee-high boots, there's some plate armor, but it's not full on plate, because just protect the vitals, the rest of it's whatever, it's...
Yeah. I actually really, really like the terrain piece on this as well. I mean, I know most people don't buy this for the terrain, but it's a really nice looking piece. It's very fantasy-esque, but honestly, I think you could kind of make an excuse for this anywhere. It's just something that's really old. If it's meant to be 40k, then obviously you just weather it up insanely, whereas it still looks like it's kind of freshly broken with the way they've painted it here. It looks too clean, if anything.
Yeah. The only thing that really jumps out and looks great is the shattered gem in the top.
That's probably my favorite part of it. I kind of wish that they'd done that with one of the eyes as well. Socks. I probably should have asked you this about the previous one as well. We'll go back to that in a second. But anything stand out amongst this for you?
Like you were saying, I like the white cloaked ghost with the flames. Yep. The black ones look nice too, but I really do like how it stands out more on the white ones.
Yeah. They're all gorgeous. It's just that they look the same as all of the rest of the ghosts that they've already done. Like there's a whole army of these guys, and they kind of all look the same. But I just really like that paint job. On the previous one, where it was like the Dark Elves and the Night Lords, I know that you don't really have a background in any of these, but does anything stand out?
Kind of the Night Lords.
You like the
more.
Night Lords?
Yeah. The way the Dark Elves' hair and stuff like that, it just seemed really odd that it's all drooping into their face and you can't really see their facial features. All you're seeing is this curtain of hair.
True.
Bob,
it'll make them easier to paint.
Have you not seen emos? Come on. That's
true.
All right. Moving on. And yeah, this is the one. People that have been listening for a long time know how long I have wanted this. Those that know me in real life know even more how long I've wanted this. When I started 40k, this is what I wanted.
I've never heard you say anything about this.
I want a Kroot army, and I'm going to get it. This unfortunately means that I can no longer talk about whether I will or will not get into 40k. This means I am building and buying a 40k army, as opposed to trying to justify painting one because I have the model sitting there doing nothing. Like the Kroot army is this going to be
is this going to be a standalone, or is this going to be...
It's part of the Tau. You can either run it with the Tau, or you will be able to run them by themselves as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
So we're getting it.
Because
Yep.
I know back in the day, and when I went to Comic-Con, I think that was 2001. They were unveiling the Tau Army at the San Diego Comic-Con.
Yep.
And the Kroot were, they were just the infantry for this army. So if they've expanded it to where it is standalone off-ish enough that, that's kind of cool.
There was a point in time where the Kroot had been extended. I mean, we've had the Krootox for a while. We've got a new Krootox as part of this. There used to be something called Narlox, which were basically the Krootox, but even bigger again. But you could only buy them from Forge World. And they were available for quite a long time, and they were gorgeous models, but apparently they just sucked in-game, and there was no point ever taking them, because they were just completely useless. But Forge World, unfortunately, cancelled them right at the point where I had enough money to buy them, and I got very upset and very angry at the time. I actually did manage to find some secondhand on the aftermarket that I have somewhere, but I won't need them at this point. So there's a lot in this preview. So we have a Flesh Shaper and a War Shaper, although they're in the other. It's actually the War Shaper first, then the Flesh Shaper. The Shaper has always kind of been the leader of the Kroot, but they're kind of expanding on it. It's always been hinted that there were actually different types of Shapers, but we're getting them in a more official capacity at this stage. So the War Shaper is your general type person. I actually think that's the nicest sculpt, personally. It's just the one that I like. Not that the other one's bad, it's just that's the one that stands out to me. And then the Flesh Shaper is the one that decides what they will eat to help. Because they eat things and then essentially instantly evolve type thing. That they evolve to gain the strengths of whatever it is that they are eating. They are carnivores, quite literally. We then have resculpted Kroot. These haven't been properly resculpted since they were done. So this is since you went to San Diego Comic-Con. We did get that kill team last year, but this is an actual proper resculpting. And for the very first time, do either of you remember what my complaint was for the kill team? You may not.
No, not off the top of my head, no.
They were all basically just standing there, and like there was no running
Same
poses
style
and
pose.
no nothing. Because they are supposed to be fast, nimble, and agile, and we actually have running poses in this. We still have standing poses, which is fine, but we actually have proper running poses now. This kit looks phenomenal. Also, I love the little puppy Kroot Hound. He's just so cute. And then I think this is what has stood out to most people. The new Krootox looks amazing. I do have an old Krootox somewhere. I wish I could find the damn thing. It's in a box somewhere. I can't find it. I bought it for Kill Team and never used it, and it got put somewhere safe. And the problem is that I've put it somewhere safe, and now I don't know where it is. I love this thing. We've got a new gun option, which looks gorgeous. And then we also have the Narlock Ravagers. So where the previous one could be built as like a gun platform or like a close combat thing, they've just released them as separate things. So there's actual poses that look like they're attacking you in close combat, which is something famously Tau have never really had, is anything that was any good at close combat. Not that I'm expecting these guys to like outdo the Blood Angels or anything, but they actually have something that can do something in close combat now, which is good. I actually think the Ravagers are my favourite sculpt of what we've seen so far, personally. I just love the dynamic poses in them.
They're lizard bird people, Thunderwolf Cavalry, essentially.
Pretty much. I've always been a very big fan of the Kroot. They've always been my favourite alien race in the universe. Apparently, this is also not everything that they're showing off. So this is going to be a fairly large release by the look of it. It's been no secret. Like, this has been something the community have been screaming for a long time. But we're actually getting it. And it's not just, oh, we've got a new model. We're getting a huge amount. Like, there's been rumors that this has been coming for something like 8 years now. Like, every year there was a new rumor that this is the year they were going to do it. I mean, all of those rumors were clearly just made up for attention, but it's actually here. It's actually happening. I only have one thing that disappoints me, which is that now I have to try and join the queue of everybody that's trying to buy this at the same time and hope to God I actually get it.
My God.
Yeah, which is going to be nigh on impossible. It's going to be nigh on impossible for me to get this, but I need to have this in my life. Ironically, I really don't care about the fancy book because we will get a Tau Codex anyway, and then this will probably have 500 errors in it that they have to cancel, and I'll have to buy it again.
Or
need
it'll
this
have 20 OP things that they'll have to redact and like pull out before the first tournament because it works so well to get Voton sold.
I will have to join that queue. Like, we have no connections of anywhere that we would be able to get this. I could go, I have been a fan of this for a very long time, Games Workshop. Please. But I'm also not going to sit here and never criticize them, so that will never happen. I will always be openly critical when they do things that I'm not a fan of, but I have nothing negative to say about this. I am in for this. This will be a major purchase for me this year. All we need to know is when. Socks. Yep. Obviously, again, you're not a 40k person. What do you think about Space Bird people?
I mean, they kind of look cool. I kind of like the one that's riding on his mount with the big, huge twin barrel gun.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I do like the screaming head. By the way, I think the screaming head, because of the way it's the angle of the photo makes it look very cartoony. But I think it's the angle of the photo, not the way, because it's been painted gorgeously.
I kind of like it too. It gives it kind of like the Velociraptor look from Jurassic Park. The way it's coming down but up to scream at you.
Yeah, true. Do you have anything else you want to add, George? No,
because I've been looking at the next one.
Any predictions on what else we're getting?
I'm guessing there's going to be some sort of flyer unit.
A flyer unit would make sense. I'm hoping that we're going to get a Narlock because there's no big kit in this.
Mm-hmm.
So we could get a Narlock, or we could get I can't remember what they were called, but there was another one of these that were... No, there was Narlock Riders, and then there was the Great Narlock, which is the giant one. Which were basically like the Krootoks, but they were more actual raptor-like things, and they rode around on them. So I'm thinking that those two would make sense, but I like the idea of a flying unit as well. Because there's a lot of things in the lore that we have never seen.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah. On to the next one, which apparently has George excited.
So, for the first time in a long time, it's a model with built-in terrain basing that I actually like.
The thing I like about this terrain piecing is that it's something that you could actually put anywhere. Like, this could be in the middle of a city. This could be something that's in the middle of the forest. It actually works because it's just a ruin that could be anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This appears to also be... This is, again, something from the Lumineth. Because that's the cow symbol thing, right?
Yeah, but I think it's...
no.
It's a new faction, it looks like.
It talks about the Sisterhood of Cain, so this is the witches, whatever they're called.
Oh, yeah.
But she doesn't have any snake things on her. Might be a new faction, yeah. I actually really like that. The wings are maybe the best wings they've done. Which might be a shout, but I don't think I'm far off the mark with that.
I'm trying to remember. I mean, because they're just normal feathered wings. So
yeah.
Magnus the Red for 40k, he's got wings similar to that. The other Zinch stuff, feathered wings. So it's more often than not, it's the leathery bat dragon wings that you see on things.
It is. It's the Daughters of Cain, so it's not a new faction
Yeah.
at all. Yeah.
Oh, it is Daughters of Cain?
Yeah.
So.
But it's just, it's a new force among them. We haven't really seen something new for the Daughters of Cain for a long time, really. Just re-releases and reshaping.
Not since they
things.
came out.
Yeah. Socks?
Again, the hair. But whatever. I'm not much of the lore, but I know it's.
This has kind
The
of has an
style
otherworldly kind of presence about it. So I'm guessing the fact that she can't see through her hair doesn't
Yeah.
really matter. But I don't know.
Probably what the Ravens are for.
That's what
That'd be my guess.
It was, yeah.
So
Yeah.
my one complaint about this model, and it's not the built-in terrain, it is her staff.
Because it's fragile.
That thing is going to break whenever you look at it wrong.
Yeah, it will. But it does look really nice.
Mm-hmm.
This is a model that you will want to magnetize. You do not want to put this in foam.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not unless you can build it in a way where the arm that's holding that is magnetized to come on and off. That would be the only way I would consider carrying that in foam, personally. But yeah, no, I really like this. Next up, we have Callus and Toll, which is just 2 new heroes for the Age of Sigmar. This is also coming out of the same book, but this is a little bit more straightforward. Couple of more heroes. My favourite of which is the guy with the dual pistols, because that's just cool. Ironically, he looks like he's standing on a base that's been made by every third-party company that's ever been made. These don't look like Games Workshop bases at all. They look like... And I'm meaning this as a compliment. Normally, Games Workshop bases are fairly average looking.
Mm-hmm.
These look really good.
I'm gonna have to give my money to the Sigmarite in armor with the Griffhound. He looks.
I like the Griffhound.
He
Probably
looks
the best looking
stunning.
Griffhound I've seen too. But yeah, no, he does look really cool. Not that any of them look bad.
There's one that looks bad.
Which one?
The one with the creepy ass hairless cat. Those things are disgusting looking.
Well, yes, but it's also supposed to. Because that's what it's
No,
supposed to look like.
No, fun story. This is an actual true story. Vet clinics typically have a cat roaming around. You know, it's just whatever. This one clinic had a hairless cat, and the intern's job for the summer was to go around and wipe off the butthole prints off the glass counter from the hairless cat sitting on it, because there's no hair to keep it from suctioning down and leaving a mark on the glass.
Yeah, lovely.
Right? So they're gross.
I think the only one I've got anything negative to say about is like the rogue with like the rope, because it just looks boring. It doesn't look bad, it's just dull. There's nothing really going on there. It's the only real negative thing I've got to say.
I'd like it more if there's more face showing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just something more happening other than somebody swinging a rope.
To go along with the cat, I'm not a fan of the human with her either.
I think the paint job lets that down, personally. I don't know. I like the whole half mask thing, but there's something missing on it. I don't know. Moving on. The last thing from the LVO previews that we got was for the Horus Heresy, and we have the Solar Auxilia. George probably knows more about the Solar Auxilia than I do. I can't remember who they are. But this is something that has been getting a lot of attention. I think this is just really early Astra Militarum, right?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely Imperial Guard. They've just got actual like armor and like helmets.
I still, like these look really pretty. I can't really. I'm not a Horus Heresy person. I mean, the story is amazing, yes, but it's not something I'm interested in playing because it's just an earlier version of 40k. And it's a version of 40k that I didn't enjoy, so it's not something I'm really overly interested in playing. But I do like these models. I do think these models are really cool. The benefit of these models over other tanks is that these actually look like their own tanks and not every tank that's ever been released known to man.
Well, I mean, so if you look at the one picture where, you know, it's got the box with the box art and everything, and you see the two tanks and the troops and stuff, the one in the back left, that is very clearly and obviously a Lehman Russ.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So, I'm scrolling through the troops, and I don't know if it's a trick of the angle, but one of them looks like he's bulkier in the torso than the others.
Describe
And I don't know
which
if it's
model you're talking about. Is it the first lot of troops or the second lot of troops?
okay. So if we go to the one that has the banner, and then the guy with the plasma pistol, right? And then you go 1, 2. I guess 2 to the left works.
2 to the left.
So they've both got las rifles, but the one on the right, his torso looks bulkier, and his thighs look bulkier too. Like he looks like he's a bulkier mini than the other one. I don't know if it's just a trick of the angle of the camera, or if they've gone through and they've made them like varying sizes. Which
I think it's your eyes, because I pretty much can tell you that that's exactly the same pair of legs.
Is it?
It is literally the same pair of legs. Hang
Oh,
on, 1,
yeah,
2,
I'm seeing it
3,
now.
4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, because the folds are exactly the same in the pants too.
Okay.
I think the angle is slightly different as what's going on.
But you see what I'm saying though? It's like the one on the right of that, he looks bulkier.
Yeah, I think it's just a slightly different angle, just ever so slightly. Because where the fold in the knee is on the edge, if you look at the one on the right, you don't see as much of the next bit of fabric. So I think it's just that he's angled just a little bit differently, but otherwise they are the same legs.
Yeah,
in fact,
yeah, they are.
I think most of them are like that. Oh no, they're not. Next lot of troops is kind of like your hero type stuff, and we get another look at it's the same banner but a different body. I think this looks.
And
pretty,
the guy
it
that
just
dies
doesn't do
first.
anything for me. The guy that dies first.
Yep.
Usually,
so the first one, bald head with the sword and whatnot. You go one to the right, and he's got the little antenna thing coming to his back.
Yep.
That's the radio operator. He gets shot in the face first in Saving Private Ryan.
Okay, yep. Also, by the way, I love how dumb this aerial looks. I mean, this is another thing that's going to break in an instant. But it looks like something that would exist 50 years ago, but in a really good way. I mean, you could also just scratch build that out of some pipe cleaners, but I don't know. I kind of like the aerial, despite how fragile it's going to look.
Well, there's a difference between like, you know, a 28 mil with a little thing coming off of it like that versus a big hero model with one that's coming off another 2 inches off the top.
Yeah, that is a good point.
With all bunch of spines on it as well.
Yeah, where this is kind of more rounded. The one thing I don't like, but I do like what they were trying to do, is I don't like the walker. It just doesn't do anything for me. But I can see where, I can see how the modern day walker came from this. It's just that personally really doesn't do anything for me. I just don't like how it looks. That's just me personally. I don't suppose you've got any thoughts, Socks? Again, I know we're talking 40k, so it's not your thing, but
no, I kind of like the walkers.
You like the
So I
walkers?
used to play, yeah, because I used to play Dust Tactics, and so
Yep.
that's very steampunkish with the walkers and stuff like that. And so I enjoyed playing around with the walkers from Dust Tactics. So the
And as
walker here
much
was
as I
pretty
have
nice.
bitter opinions about that company, I will sit here and say I think they've to date still made the best looking walkers ever made.
I will also say too, look at these, it's that walker has a very Star Wars-esque look to it.
I was going to say
that's not
it's very much like an ATST.
That's not accidental. The current one looks like the ATST too. So yeah, interesting to see stuff modeled from the Age of Darkness. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see when this happens, I suppose. I assume that it's not far off, but that's an assumption. And then finally, from the Games Workshop front, we have some more old world stuff. And I don't believe there's anything in this that's new at all. This is literally all old kit, as far as I understand. But we've got the orcs and the goblins. It's all of the boys that you're used to. So they are getting their own stuff. I do quite like the squig. The old troll was always fun. The troll hag was always a fun kit. I don't like the bone grinder giant. No, not the bone. Whatever the dragon stupid thing is, the wyvern. I don't like that. I never did. But that's fine. I don't have to like everything. The one thing I do like and shouldn't is the marauder giants. Like, I shouldn't like these at all because they're so old. I'm not an old hammer person. I understand the nostalgia people have for it, but generally I'm not. But I really like these. These feel like they're out of a cartoon from the 80s or the 70s.
So I didn't mention this last time, and it really just stood out to me when I looked at these, and it's making me a little grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
It says Warhammer, right? And it's the old school Warhammer. And it says the old world. It doesn't say fantasy, it says the old world. Okay, I'm also fine with that. The box is blue.
No, you did mention this last time. You wanted it to be
I
red.
did?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So maybe I did notice it and mention it. But yeah,
I wasn't
I
so
think
grumpy about it. It was just a joke that you made at the time.
I think I'm grumpier about it now. Seeing it again, like, should be red.
Like we kind of touched on this last time. Like the negative opinions that are out there about the old world is generally about the pricing of everything, because all of these models are so ancient at this point that it's almost offensive that they're that expensive. I'm just going to reiterate the same thing I did last time. There was enough begging for this game to come back that at this point they can justify it. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but that there is justification there, at least in their eyes. They've added complications to their business trying to launch a new game against arguably the most popular fantasy game going right now. And people wanted the old game with the old minis. It's literally what they were begging for. So they got it, but they're having to pay for it if they need it. It is what it is. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. From what I've been hearing, this has been selling too well. Too well is my opinion. It kind of scares me how well this has been selling, because it just makes it really obvious how gullible some people are, unfortunately.
Well, or, the people that say they have been wanting it, that were absolutely furious with the death of fantasy, are, oh, thank God it's back, I'm going to go buy this.
Yeah.
I mean, we have been shown that Games Workshop has zero capability of paying attention to or listening to its fan base, because they're still running on this crap website that is worse to get onto when something releases to buy stuff now.
Yep. Yeah, it's a thing. But look, it's here. I'm kind of surprised that we're getting the previews for the next lot of things already, given that like the original two aren't even out yet. That concerns me, because this is a preview of this is something that's coming soon. This isn't a preview like the other ones. This is a preview of what's coming next.
Mm-hmm.
Which means they are going to go gangbusters with the release of this, and that's not a good thing in my eyes. I would have preferred that they released it a little bit more sparingly, because if they're going to be doing a huge, expensive box set like this every month or two, that's too frequent, I think. But we'll see. Let's move on from Games Workshop. And we're going to talk about a game that we've spoken about before. But I think it was Socks that was on the episode with me when we discussed Altar of the Dead Gods. Do you remember it, Socks?
I think I do slightly looking at the stuff. Yeah.
So this is a game that was a free game being done by a member of the community. And basically, P-Work Wargames have actually picked it up quite some time ago as something to actually make products for and release for the international markets. And not only are they doing that, like there's actually a printed version of the rulebook as part of this. Mats, obviously, because they are a mat making company. A really good one too. I actually got a few of their mats. I highly recommend them. But we're actually getting terrain, cards. There's a free token thing that you can download. This is in both Italian and in English. I just think this is really cool. It's a way that somebody that made a free game can actually make money outside of, people donating to them. So like they had built up a world that made a lot of sense and seemed like something that could have been marketable, but they had done it in a way where they couldn't really make any money. They actually have a product that they can sell now. So I really like this. I like the fact that somebody from the community that had worked on something has gotten rewarded for the work that they've done. It goes to show that there still is room in the indie scene for people to actually try and make an impact. Yeah. The terrain is probably the highlight for me, I think. I mean, it is simple terrain, but that's not a bad thing. They've designed a modular terrain system. It's all MDF cut. And you can see that in the way that it goes together. But I really like it, honestly. Thoughts, opinions?
Looks like it's a medieval era.
Yeah, Altar of the Dead Gods is... it's like you're exploring the dungeons for these... It's kind of miniature agnostic. They are very much Lovecraftian-esque, just in case that wasn't insanely obvious from the artwork. And yeah, it's like something will go wrong. It's a matter of when or how it goes wrong. Two players. The warbands that you have access to are vampires, hunters, blood witches, cultists, pilgrims of the church, and the Decadent Waltz. That was the one that I don't remember what the Decadent Waltz was. But basically, there's enough variants in there that you can use whatever fantasy minis you want, really.
Sure. Well, I was just curious because, just look at this, with being very Lovecraftian, just, I've got a couple boxes of Cthulhu, stuff, but it's, that's more 20s, 1920s.
Yeah.
So,
this is very much fantasy-esque.
Yeah. So everything but the investigators.
I mean, you could just say that they come from one of the other things, I suppose. Just because they don't look like vampires doesn't mean they're not vampires.
Well, like the cultists would work, the monsters would work, but the dude with a shotgun wouldn't work.
True. He doesn't know what it is.
That's
it's just a big stick.
That goes boom.
So I'm looking at this, and so you got the game map there, right? That's, call it €29 with the terrain pack at €29.
Yep.
So you're looking at €60, so probably what, $70 ish about the exchange rate for essentially your play surface, which that's not terrible when you look at, like, I haven't even started to look at
terrain. No, it's not terrible at all. The only
I
downside
haven't-
of the mat is that because it's designed for this game specifically, it is all gridded.
Mhm.
Which I actually don't mind because it's the way that the game is, but it means that it's not something you could use widely.
That's not a deterrent for me either. That kind of helps keep things in I mean, if you're having to measure range and stuff like that, that's a little bit of a cheat. But the other thing too is what I was saying was that's not terribly bad because I still haven't even begun to look at a mat and some terrain for Bushido yet.
True. It's also worth noting that this, let's say €30 mat, is a mouse mat as well.
Which is pretty nice.
Yeah, so it's not a cheap cloth mat. This is actually the decent stuff. I have 3 of their mats, and the printing on them is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly couldn't say a negative thing about them. And I will definitely recommend them. Otherwise, I think we'll move on. So, this one is nice and quick. War Games Illustrated, we kind of talked about the survey that they do every year. The best rules for 2023 was Burrows and Badgers, which we will be talking a little bit about later. So this actually comes from Oathsworn Miniatures, but we're also got a preview of the campaign that's launching onto Kickstarter next month. So we've got like this really fancy look. You got to go to the right, just by the way. This really fancy looking badger with the giant sword, and I'm not 100% sure what the other creature is. I want to say it's a shrew.
I would say that's a shrew or a weasel. Which
It's too small to be a weasel.
Weasels can be small.
But anyway, I just thought it was worth, because we did touch on that survey, and Burrows and Badgers is something that's had my attention a little bit lately. And yeah, it's also what we're going to talk about in the indie. Parabellum. This was last week. We finally got a preview of what the next army is going to be. They are called the Sorcerer Kings. So every so often we get a preview of what the next army is going to be, and they kind of go through one army at a time. Every faction that they do seems to step up the sculpting from them as well, and this does not disappoint. Much like the other ones, this is very much taking a fantasy trope that's out there and putting their own spin on it. So this is very much... So the first one that you open up is... They are very much genies. But they don't... They kind of feel like traditional genies to me. It's not like a Disney one where it's just basically a ghost, but I'm called a genie, so I'm a genie. They kind of feel more like the D&D Djinn. Is it the Djinn in D&D?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they feel like to me.
Yeah, there's Djinn and Ifrit, and they look very good. These are very
because these are very flame genie type thing.
Yeah,
they're very reminiscent of some of the illustrations from the old school set Arabian Nights from Magic the Gathering.
Yep. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
The next one, which are also called Ifrit, but these ones are more close combat-esque type things. We have very much some very traditional looking swords, honestly. And I really like these swords. They look like they might be a tad fragile, but that's kind of... These are a larger miniature, though, so they might be fine. If that was a 28mm scale, you might have a bit of problems, but because the scale on these is 38, they should be a bit bigger and thicker, so you should be okay, I think. The details on the blades, like we don't have a close-up of the blades, but it looks gorgeous. What about in the 360? Does it show us anything close? So it looks like they've got flames coming off.
Flames on them.
Yeah. I
Which look
really
nice,
do. I
though.
really do like the look of these. Up next, we have the ghouls, which is perhaps
Just
the
your regular
only.
foot soldiers.
Yeah, I mean, this is the only version of ghouls from like a Middle Eastern type, and it's a very vaguely Middle Eastern Persian type look. But I don't think I've ever seen anybody do ghouls.
I would
zombie
argue these
type
are
things
more
from here.
India.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually,
than
yeah,
Middle East.
yep. But I don't think I've ever seen ghouls done from that region. I could be wrong.
No. I mean, I'm sure they've probably been done somewhere at some point in time, but you know, from what I'm noticing, like, so this is a very dual region mashup because you got a lot of the very, Arabian Nights, Middle Eastern type of influence, but then like you have the Maharaja sorcerer king, right?
Yeah.
That's very, Indian influence right there.
And the flame vibes just, I really like what they're doing because the
Mhm.
flames on the zombies, I love the beard made of fire. That is just cool, kinds of cool. I'd
Yeah.
honestly be, if these were mine, I'd be tempted to do all of the facial hair like that after seeing how that beard is painted. So this guy with the giant mustache in the middle, I'm painting it fire. Like, there's just no way I'm not. And correct me if I'm wrong, but is there a head on top of a flame in the background there? The guy with the giant mustache, behind him, it looks like there's a zombie where the head is coming up like this.
So I think that's a model behind it, and the guy with the mustache has his hand out, and his hand has the flame in it.
Oh, so it's just an optical illusion. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, it's an optical illusion. Boo. Oh, well. We also have, as you mentioned, the Maharaja King. And it just looks like a king that's like... So this is like the person that's bringing all of this stuff to life and controlling everything. Really ridiculously fancy-looking stave. I've got less to say about. I like the beads. The beads are cool. Any other thought on the Maharaja? Nope.
Not really, no.
And then we have Raj, which I assume is the giant thing for this army. Does it tell me? No, it doesn't. It doesn't tell me what size that base is. Oh, no, it can't be a giant. It's only $25. And this is just... it's definitely bigger, though. So this must be like a medium-sized troop. Where it's kind of just this giant, muscly guy. I kind of want to say the Immortals from 300 is the vibe I'm getting. Because the face is all covered behind the... behind the armor and stuff.
Yep.
I don't know if that's what the idea is. That's just the vibe that I have.
Like I said, this is a good mashup of those two regions of
This is the thing I really like about Conquest. Every time they do one of these tropes, it's done in a way that's their own, as opposed to just doing the same thing everybody else has done. I'm going to fail on this next one. The Rajako.
Rajakar.
That one.
Karo.
These look like actual regular
Rajaku?
troops.
Oh.
This is the only one I've seen so far where there's no flame vibe on them. So not everybody is undead djinn or whatever it is that they are supposed to be. This is just regular troop guys.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting. Really cool.
Definitely more armor than the ghouls,
Yeah.
but I like
Ghouls
these two.
don't need armor. They're socks.
True. They're
True.
throwing fireballs.
And then we have the Sadar, or Sadar, but I think it would be Sadar, which is, again, appears to be just a giant, well, not giant, but it's a larger model quite clearly.
Larger.
A hero figure.
Or it's a hero. Actually, I think you might be right. I think it's a hero figure by the look of that. Recently developed servicemen who
Lead their forces on their behalf.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So it's a hero it's a hero model then. And then we have, finally, the Sorcerer King's Sorcerer. So this is another hero model. This is going to be one of the people that's leading your armies, and I like, this is the preview model. They do like a limited edition model, and it will come out later again, but with a slightly different sculpt, and it's usually like just ever so slightly different. I really like this. The dual wands is an interesting touch. I'm not saying that in a negative way. It's just I've not really seen somebody with dual wands before. They almost look like they're unicorn horns.
So the one thing I'm going to say here too, because and not knowing a lot about Conquest, because you're the one who jumped into that and whatnot, Bruce. But to me that army box, $160 for the two ghoul squads, the regular troops, one thing of the Afrits, and then the Sorcerer King.
Yep,
seems like a really good price.
Their box starter sets are really good value. Yeah. That's the way that I should have bought in when I bought originally. I didn't because it wasn't available at the time, so I bought everything separately. But I kind of... It's another one of those things where I really hyper-focused and decided to buy everything at once, which is not... It's not the smartest way to buy into a game when you're going to do it. But no, it's really, really good value. So the Maharaja is the hero model in this one. You're getting one lot of the Afrits, 2 lots of the ghouls, and then 2 lots of the regular troop guys. So this is a very troop-heavy box. And obviously you're going to be buying other stuff on top of it. But yeah, I think this is really, really looking good. All right. TTCombat.
Who?
I don't know who they are. Oh, okay.
Well, there's this guy called Louis that owns a business, and he used to have somebody with him called Lewis that we got along with very well. We do get along with Louis as well. This is just a banter. Something that we got asked about 8 or 9 months ago, and we were like, oh, no, they don't seem to sell it anymore. I don't know why. And when I asked Louis, we basically got told, watch this space. And here it is.
Lo and behold.
The 15mm modular table is back. So, there's 2 versions I've got linked here. One is just the tiles themselves, and the other one is that plus all of the buildings. So it's literally a table for £150, and it looks honestly really good. So this is 15mm scale. Obviously, my thought here is Drop Zone Commander, but you could easily... This has been laid out in a way that's very clearly supposed to be Imperialis or Epic or whatever it is that you want. No, it can't be Epic. It's smaller again.
Yeah, I was going to... 15mm, that's a good happy medium for the smaller scale Warhammer, but it's not too off for Drop Zone.
Mm-hmm.
The only... Is it big enough, play area-wise for Drop Zone, though, is my question.
If anything, the only thing you'd want to change would be to add more buildings, maybe.
5x4, you play on a 4x4 for Drop Zone, generally.
Okay.
Wait,
so you'd cut off one edge and 5x4.
Wow, that's...
What a weird
which
choice.
Is a unique... that's weird, because normally it's a 6x4 or a 4x4. I've never heard of...
I suspect that's a typing error.
I'd count 5 tiles by 4 tiles.
3, 4... Oh, no,
Fox
you're
is right.
Yeah. That's really weird. We might have to reach out for that. That's a really odd choice.
It's a very odd table size, because you'd have to buy 2 sets or...
I mean, my assumption would be is that these would get released separately at some point. They're not going to be bundles forever, because you can't make money selling bundles forever. You can already buy the buildings separately anyway. Actually, no, it's not all of them. The building types. But yeah, there you go. 15 mil. Oh no, sorry.
8 to 10.
8 to 10. So this is drop zone size. The 5x4 is so
Yeah,
weird.
that's
I didn't
really
even
throwing me
notice
off
that.
too.
So it's probably done like that. My thinking here is, so it's a 5x4. So you have 2 extra tiles to mix and match with to vary up your gameplay without having excessive amounts of extra.
True. I mean, it depends on the size of the game that you're playing. 4x4 is not uncommon for drop zone. And so you can, vary it around a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what other tiles they end up coming with once this gets separated out. And then, last but not least... Actually, no, this is not last. First things first, Relics, which is another one of the games that TTCombat bought ages ago and hasn't really done anything with since. We spoke last episode about how Home Raiders is on the verge of coming back. So we also have Relics on the way of coming back as well. This isn't going to be Kickstarter or anything. This is just something that's going to get launched. And basically this is just a tease to say that it's coming. And when we were talking about Home Raiders last episode, we had a message from Louis that had said that it was going to be kickstarted and he was hoping that it was going to be early this year. Well, it's not the first one they're doing this year. They have decided to do Half Tilt first. If you have been following this industry for a long time, Full Tilt was a game that got released in White Dwarf. It was never really an official game. It was just like an idea that somebody had. And basically it was, what do you call this when they're running at each other with the poles?
Jousting.
Jousting. It was a jousting game, basically. They have done this with halflings, so therefore it is Half Tilt. To my knowledge, this is the first time this has been produced as an actual game. Now, I don't know what's happening as far as rules is concerned. I would assume that it's being tweaked and so forth, because the original rules were like, it wasn't a game. It was just, I think it was like a 2-page spread. And that's really all it was. But it's going to be interesting to see when this happens. It's happening next week, 25th of January. So it's going to be interesting to follow. There should be a lot of really gorgeous minis for this. We have been seeing teasers of that on the TTCombat website already. They've been teasing like a new miniature for it every week. If you go through the TTCombat page, you can actually see a whole heap of them. Just one page after the next. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. And I'm keen to follow it, honestly. Last but not least for the news, there's a few things that got... Yeah, there was a few things that got teased, but I think this was the one that stood out to me the most, which is the Lead by Example squad pack. So I don't think this is the first time that we had seen this. The Ahsoka model, for example, we definitely knew that was coming. Because that was the model that got released and upset everybody because it was a preview that only like 4 people in the world could get access to. And then this is the full-on version of that
box set that comes.
So, and it makes sense, like especially if you know the show and stuff. I haven't watched all of the show, but I know enough of it to know why this set is together the way that it is.
Yeah, it's a very strange grouping with Plo Koon, Ahsoka, and then the group of troopers. Like it almost seems like we need to get these into the game here.
This is pulled directly from Clone Wars.
No, I understand it, but it's still just it's an odd grouping.
There's a specific episode that comes to mind where Plo Koon and 3 troopers are kind of stranded in space, and she refuses to give up on finding him. I suspect that's the inspiration for this, but I don't know it for a fact.
I will say this: my favorite model is the squad leader.
Plo Koon.
For the troopers. Yeah. That is amazing.
Yeah. The dive shooting. I agree. Yeah, shall we move on to an indie?
Indie. Definition. Independent. Type. Slang word. Jargon.
I was almost going to skip this episode, but after looking so heavily and focusing on it so much this week, well, I say this week, since Friday, I decided I want to talk about Burrows and Badgers. This is another one of these games that it's kind of been on the cusp of things I've looked at for a very long time. But I've never played it because I didn't know anybody that was playing it. I found out on Friday that one of the friends that I play with regularly bought the book and would love to play it at some point, but he has nobody to play it with. And I've kind of been hyper-focusing on it ever since. So Burrows and Badgers is a skirmish game of anthropomorphic animals. So the first thing that comes to my mind to describe this to you two is, are you familiar with The Wind in the Willows?
I was thinking the Robin Hood from Disney with the fox.
Disney's Robin Hood.
That was the next place I was going to go. Because, yeah, that's the easiest way to describe it. At this particular point, I'm just going to start by looking at the gallery, because I just think it's an easy place to start, just going through the models one at a time. It's just photos of stuff that's been done by folk. I quite like the mole monk at the Stonehenge type thing, although it reminds me of whatever the circle is called that Aslan gets killed on in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It's just all kinds of fun. So it's literally, it's medieval folk, but if they were animals. So you've got badger knights, you've got mouse thieves. That's what that little mouse carrying the bag is. It's meant to be a thief or a burglar, I think they call it. We've got our squirrel rangers here. What was
There's a shrew zerker.
Yep.
Yeah.
The shrew zerker actually comes in one of the starter sets. Let me see if I can find the picture of the shrew zerker.
Right next to the badger, fox,
There it is.
otter, and rabbit in between those.
It's just so much fun. Like, sometimes there's ideas that... this is a really cute, silly idea. But it's an idea that just works so well that you kind of question why this wasn't done 15 years ago. This game at this point, I think, is 4 years old. It has actually been around for quite some time. This is another one of the games that's like, this is one of the success stories out of Kickstarter. Because there are games out there that have actually existed for long enough to be successes. And I love everything about it. If you scroll, I did provide the link, but if you didn't send the second link, down the bottom in download links, the very first one is the link for Oathsworn Miniatures, which is who sells the miniatures. The terrain all gets done by Sarissa Precision, that we've spoken about before. They actually, on the very front of the page, they give you an idea of what postage is going to cost for you. So, the value of your order and where you are in the world. So, I'm going to order, let's just say, £50 worth of stuff, and I'm in Australia, so it costs me £20 in postage. George is going to order the same amount. He spends £23 in postage, which is weird. Normally it's the other way around. It's actually slightly
you're cheaper.
That doesn't make sense, usually.
Normally it's the other way around, but the UK, generally speaking, is actually cheaper for us. I could order exactly the same item from the UK and exactly the same item from the US, and I will pay probably half in postage, if not more. But you'll also see rest of the world is £17, and that is less than both of us. So it just depends on where you are, pretty much. But under Burrows and Badgers, if we go to game rules and starter bands, this is probably makes the most sense to start with. So you can buy the rulebook for the better part of £20, and it comes with a free mouse burglar. And it's a soft cover, I think. Wait, is this? No, it's a hardcover. For a hardcover book, that's insanely good value.
That's pretty cheap.
Yeah. And the fact that it actually comes with the mouse burglar as well is the mouse burglar is like 20 mil tall, So it's less than an inch tall. It's really small and cute. That's a 30mm base that it's on. And then you've got 2 starter bands. I'm going to open up them both. I'm going to start with A, though. Just because, well, you start with A and then B. And these are just example crews that you could start with. So this first one that I've opened up, we've got ourselves an adder mage, which is the snake in the background, holding that stave. He's coiled around the stave. We've got a squirrel witch, which is over on the other side, with a little wand going, nah! We've got a mouse shield maiden, which is here in the front. Again, like these are all next to each other, so you can see differences in sizes. The weasel soldier is in the background, and this is what I was saying earlier about that it looked like it was the wrong size. We've also got a hare knight, which is bigger again. And then the mouse knight is the other unpainted mouse here in the front. But it also comes with polyhedral dice, and you're looking at £22.50. These are all single-piece metal models, by the way. So no super glue, no crap. It's just simple one-piece models.
You had me up until metal.
I thought I was the one that was supposed to hate metal minis.
I detest them.
Supplied unpainted, so yes, obviously you need to paint them. That is kind of the point. Starter set B, roughly the same size. So we have the Shrew Zerker, which George had a look at and loved a little minute ago. The Sparrow Warrior just makes me laugh. I just think it's so funny. A Sparrow Warrior makes no sense at all, but that's kind of why I like it. We got the Rabbit Archer, which I actually really like. I really like the Rabbit Archer. We have a Mouse Nun on the other side. An Otter Pirate, which I just love. I love his muscles underneath his jacket. It's just so cool.
That's utterly adorable.
And then finally, we have the Squirrel Ranger that appears to be shooting an arrow into the ground for some reason. Again, you get polyhedral dice. This actually uses essentially a set of D&D dice. And basically, the way that the game works is depending on what stat it is, you'll have a stat that's 1d4, or maybe it's upgraded to be 1d6, or maybe it's upgraded to be 1d8. So the variance is always still there. It's just the range of that variance gets better the higher your stat is. So it's really, really simple in that way, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Same price as the other one, £22. And then otherwise, up at the same point, burrows and badgers, go to miniatures. We're not going to look at all of this. The only downside I have to say about this website is I really wish that that they'd done it in categories, even if it was just species, so I can click on mice and look at all of the mice, bat and look at all of the bats, and so forth. I think that would probably be easier than categorizing them by type, because the way that the game is kind of...
You should sort them by price highest first.
Yep. Good plan. And we'll
then
start
go
by
to-
looking at what I'm going to call Rupert the Bear. What do you want to look at?
The bear.
Yep. Because I really like this bear, actually. I'm not 100% sure what sort of bear it is. I kind of want to say it's a black bear. There's no way this is a grizzly. I mean, this is based in England, so I'm assuming it's a black bear. Or a brown bear. Because grizzlies are specifically England.
North American.
North American, right?
Brown bears and grizzlies are the same thing, too, so...
Are they? I thought they were different species.
In North America, though, they're the same thing.
I have just learnt something. I love this guy. He's so cool.
Do you know what a pizzly is?
It's a mix between a polar bear and a grizzly.
Okay, good.
So this is a resin model. There are resin models amongst them, but it's just generally...
Yeah, could you imagine something this big being metal?
Yeah, it would be stupidly expensive. You can buy a full.
And heavy.
The Stotebart haulage is a complete set. So we get like this cart being protected by all these weasels. Of course, the weasels are
stoked.
evil. It says it's a Stotebart haulage complete set. It comes with a medium stoat and weasels. So you've got stoats and weasels there.
Okay.
Now, there's also... Where's the dog? Bulldog Knight. Please open the Bulldog Knight because this is arguably my favourite miniature from the range. And I will say this now. I am buying this miniature. Because I am painting this and I'm going to play with it. Because, come on. That is awesome.
I'm not seeing a bulldog.
Bulldog Knight. You sorted by price, highest first, right?
Well, I did A to Z.
You told me to go highest first.
Right, but you said bulldog, so I then sorted A to Z.
Do it by price, highest to lowest, and you'll find the Bulldog Knight. That does look pretty awesome.
Yeah. This is, like I said, this is my favorite.
That's a good sculpt on that face, too.
It's amazing. It looks really good. I can even tell you what I'm going to call mine. Because I've started building a warband in this little piece of software that I found. I'm calling mine... Where is it? He's Beaufort the Bull. And he's the leader. And his group is called Bully's Boys.
So, this makes no sense.
What doesn't make any sense?
Well, I sort from by A to Z.
Yes.
Okay. And then I go to page 2, and we have Beagle Tracker, Beaver Deacon, Beaver Mercenary, Platypus Hunter.
Yeah, I know. Back down to Black Rat. And then we have a Herman's Tortoise after the Border Terrier Knight.
Yes, and that platypus is the only platypus in the game at this point, weirdly. Though I do know somewhere that sells platypus miniatures. And we've looked at them before, quite recently. Do you remember the Budgie Pirate that we spoke about on the indie a few episodes ago? That was like insanely cute, trying to look like he was tough? No?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am printing that, and I'm going to use that in my crew.
So, with the Beagle and the Border Collie and the Bulldog, I'm now... Oh my God, there's a Chihuahua even.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm looking to see if there's a Corgi.
I think I saw one.
I think there is.
Or was it a Cocker Spaniel? Hang on. I thought I saw one somewhere.
I saw the Cocker Spaniel.
There's a Chihuahua. No, there's no Corgis that I can find.
That's disappointing. However, there's a drunken weasel.
There he is. Yep. Oh, and he really does look drunk too. Oh, that's amazing. Up in search, at the top of every page, you've got search. Type in gang.
My God, I can barely read that.
Open up the Adder Ganger.
Not giving me anything.
Do a search for
Gang.
gang, as in gangs, like street
Yeah, I
gangs.
was. Yes, I understand. I was still in the weasel page though.
That's why I told
you
you
gotta
to
go
do a
back.
search.
Okay,
Go back to
it's
the main.
not working.
Go back to the main default page.
Yeah, it's not working.
That's odd. I could pull it up.
I go to Burrows and Badgers. I click on miniatures. I'm on the home Bros Badgers miniatures. I click search. I type in gang.
Yeah.
I check the radio. Any of these words. Hit search. Search results for gang. 0 products found.
G for
That's
goat,
odd.
A for N for Nelly,
Golf,
G for...
Golf Alpha November Golf.
There we go. That's the proper alphanumeric
Did
pronunciation.
you see all of these words?
Any of these words.
Do all of these words and see if it makes any difference.
No, it makes no difference.
It's
Okay.
so weird.
There's something wrong with your machine.
Because I can find it.
Yeah, it's clearly a window. It's clearly a Microsoft thing. Go
No,
A to
no,
Z.
it's Mac.
I will
Google
find it.
Chrome. It's on Google Chrome.
Go A to Z. It's the second miniature.
What's Zed?
This is what I work with, folks. This is what I work with. I don't even get paid to work with this idiot. And it's right there on the first page. Adder Ganger.
Yep.
And he's glorious.
Okay. I am digging the scale texture on that. That's
Yeah, I will agree.
that's
with you
really
on that.
good.
Yeah.
I want to say it's a rattler. Just because of how rough those scales look. I could be wrong.
Well,
I mean, it says it's an
it's
adder, but they're probably just exaggerated too. So
was
yeah,
gonna
like,
say,
you could go nuts with this website. Like, I've not looked at most of this. We've only looked at a very small part of it. Socks, did you see the mouse ganger? When we
I
were
did.
looking at the gang stuff.
I like that Adder Warrior because he's got armor plate. He's coiled up just a little bit differently, but then he's got armor plate all the way down his back.
Oh, he does too.
that's pretty cool, actually.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
brilliant. I didn't even notice that. Oh,
And
that's
how it's-
amazing. I'm going to find something and then I'll tell you what page it's on. So I'm currently in A to Z.
A to Z.
Yep. Go to page 14.
Okay.
Yep.
Open up the the stag beetle grubs. Hey, look, it's woodlice. Well, sort of. There's also an armored version of them, but I can't find them.
What I would really like to see in this, just because it's such a great meme. So they have badgers, right? And they're painted up to very obviously look like the cute, adorable looking English badger.
Yep.
They need to have a badger berserker that's based off the North American badger, which looks like a meth addict that's going to stab you.
And just shred you to pieces.
Or the honey badger.
Either one.
Well, no, the honey badger still kind of looks cute. He's just like, you know, he's cute, but you don't screw with him. The North American badger does not look cute, and you don't mess with him either.
Yeah. So there you go. Oh, there's a West Highland Terrier on the last page.
Go to page 12.
12?
Yep.
What am I looking at?
Top row, far to the right, red kite mercenary.
Oh, yes. Just a massive raptor bird. It's just gorgeous. The paint, the feathers on that are amazing too.
Yeah.
Some of these are pretty freaking stunning little things.
Yeah.
When I say little, I mean, like, they've got to be small for that price they're charging for them.
Well, that raptor that he just pointed out is 90 mil tall as a single piece for $12.50. Sorry, for €12.50. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
these are pretty cool anthropomorphic representations.
Yeah.
Part of me wants to do a D&D campaign based off, and these are the characters.
I've
That would
wanted
be
to do a
fun.
campaign like that for a while.
Trim, glue, prime, paint.
Socks, your room is tidy.
My room. I haven't done much hobby because my parents were in town, and they just left town this past Monday, so they were in town for about a week. So I haven't had much time to do hobby. And then if you haven't been paying attention to the world events is kind of getting crazy in a certain part of the world. So we've been kind of busy at work.
Yeah, surprise.
I'm actually on call and may have to do a telecon tomorrow in the middle of the day to figure out what's going on.
It wouldn't have anything to do with the Houthi, would it?
Maybe them and Pakistan.
It might have something to do with things that he cannot confirm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, my table is cleared off because I'm wanting to. There's a couple of guys that I play at my local game store, and one of them is just bought his French fleet for Black Seas. Another guy is buying into the British, and I'm getting more Spanish. I haven't painted anything yet, partly because it's been way too cold and I can't prime anything yet. Yeah, I know. It's not cold like Georgia's Wyoming, but it's been cold for us Floridians down here.
So because you bought the Spanish fleet, does this mean that you're going to spend twice as much on your fleet as everybody else, and then it all sinks to the bottom and becomes useless anyway?
Yeah.
Which is
exactly
essentially what happened in history. Because they
Yeah,
lost the
pretty
war
much.
and all their money went to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah. But we plan on buying enough so we can eventually do the whole Battle of Trafalgar in terms of line ships, which is going to be 27 French and Spanish on one side and 33 British, or vice versa, whatever it is, on the other side. We're going to try and do that before I leave. And so I'm picking up some more Spanish here soon.
That
So I
sounds
can
fun.
yeah, we're going to play on a
Is that
12
the
by...
battle I'm thinking of? When I'm making the jokes about how the Spanish just lost and everything became bad for them? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that's what it was, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that was part of it. So yeah, I'm excited to see it. One of the other guys that I play Dystopian Wars with, he actually was chatting with me during the recording. He's like, "So do I buy this set?" And I'm like, "You could buy that set, or you could get this other set." And so I think he's going to be buying some British too. So we'll have 2 British players most likely, which will help so that one player isn't playing the entire British Navy.
Yeah.
And then I'll play the Spanish half, and then my other buddy will play the French half, and so we'll have a 2-on-2 Trafalgar game here in a couple months. So I'll try and get as much of my stuff painted over the next little while and organized and have some videos and stuff like that. So
it should be good. You've also been playing something else that you can't really talk about, but you can give us opinions on it. Tell us about Armor Clash.
I am as most of you know, I'm a war host for War Cradle Games, so I've been also selected to be a beta tester, or beta tester, however you want to pronounce it. It's beta here in the States.
I'm pretty sure we say beta too.
Not in the UK, it's beta.
Yeah,
but anyways,
that probably means that we're supposed to be
for
beta too.
For Armor Clash, which is War Cradle's new 10mm ground combat epic scale game. And I was able to get some of the unit files and play test it on my table back here. My other Warhost buddy Johnny and I are trying to figure out, because he's also been selected to play test it. We're trying to find some time that we can play it together. But I like the game so far. I can't talk much about it, obviously, right now. But I really do like the mechanics of how things activate. Like most games, it's an alternate activation game.
Yep.
And so we activate back and forth. But in Dystopian Wars, you have these Valor and Victory cards, which allows you to do different things to earn victory points and allows you to do different things that affect the rules a little bit by playing these Valor effects in Dystopian Wars.
The same thing. Yep.
Exactly. They have the same kind of card setup mechanic in Armor Clash, but it's a little bit different. And these cards can affect units in different ways, not only when they're shooting, but also with morale checks, for example.
Yeah. So
it's
the
kind
cards,
of
the cards that he's referring to, basically, you have a hand of cards, which is how you will score points in the game. But if you need a bonus, these cards will also have another side to them. So they're printed so that one side is what you can score on, and the bottom half is basically it'll break the rules for you in a way to help you in this one particular situation. But you're giving up points. You're giving up potential points to get that bonus. It's maybe my favourite gaming mechanic I've seen card-wise, because it just, you get a bonus, it makes you feel really good, but you have to genuinely give something up for it.
I can actually show what something looks like because I got my son's dystopian war cards. So on the top half is their like Bruce was saying, it's their victory condition. On this one, for example, if you destroy a mass 1 unit in an assault or SRS attack, you get an extra VP if you do so. But then on the other side is a Valor effect. And I know it's kind of hard to see because it's kind of blurry. There's numbers in these two corners, and those numbers determine the value of success that your Valor effect can do throughout the game. So very, very cool mechanic that they've built. And so they have the same style of cards. They're unique because they don't want to have the same game mechanics in Dystopian Wars as they do in Armor Clash in terms of card effects. So they're a little bit different. So it's been fun playing the game. So I'm looking forward to the release. They are still planning on releasing it sometime this year. We haven't heard an official date yet, but that is the plan. They're wanting to release it sometime this year. So,
yeah, sounds good. What have you been up to, George?
Not too much. I know I was in the process of doing it. I did get a case completely printed. Well, I'm working on the mesh side panels, but those aren't necessary. And I'm really impressed. If you have a 3D printer that can do, these panels laying down flat, I highly recommend spending the money on this setup. So that is the entire Battle Force box I got last year for Custodes, 2 years ago, with the big guy in the far back corner there. And they all fit in there, fairly easily.
That's nice.
So, and the handle, I mean, it's all very sturdy, and none of this is glued together either. This is all still just press fit together. So
if you glue it, it'd only be even better.
Correct. Now, the one thing I will say for people like you, Bruce, where you go by motorbike, I don't know if I trust it as a carrying case, but
yeah. Hang on, still hold on to that because there's something else I want to point out. I want you to point out what was my favorite feature when I looked at this yesterday.
Oh yeah, so if you can see here, there's a line running down this panel here, and what happened was, so I don't know if I'll show up. The filament color was called marble, and there's some black speckling. And I'd been having issues with this filament clogging the nozzle, and it clogged right here, and I was able to get it cleared, but it left some line striation in the panel print. So
it just so happens that I think it looks really cool with that arrow.
Yeah, it's kind of unique.
It's worked out well.
Yes, it's a very happy accident. So I'm very pleased with the design of the case. I'm more than stoked that I backed the Leviathan project. Without just looking at the images of that the Omni case people, like their carrying case they did, I think it's just absolutely inferior to what Warganizer's done.
Mm-hmm.
So I think next on the docket, and I'm still fighting with the level on my printer bed, I've about got it dialed in, is I'm going to do one for my tree army. And I don't know if I'm going to do a double wide one of those, or if I'm just going to do the full-on Leviathan, because the tree lords take up a lot of space, size-wise. They're big minis. So, unfortunately, he lives over in the UK, but our old host Nigel from Huddle Z,
yes,
he sold his army on eBay. And I was very sad at how much I saw it went. Well, when I last looked, it was like the big beetle, bunch of stuff, like easily
and that beetle
several
is
$100.
gorgeous.
Yeah, It went for £26.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I would have paid that in the heartbeat, and the shipping over to the US. I just from the UK to the US shipping all assembled. Like I was super sketched about like how is it going to survive?
Did he do that as like bid with no reserve or something?
I didn't look to see if there's no reserve. From what I was gathering, he was just like, I need this gone. So,
like, if you're letting an entire army go for £24, that's not okay.
But if you just want it gone and you don't care, I mean, that's
true. Hopefully, it got bought out by somebody that will use it and not somebody that will split it and make money off it, which is probably what's. But yeah, happen.
But like there's Kurnoth warriors, there was the dryads, there was at least I think two of the tree lords. I think he had 3 of the trees, like the tree kits. So, like I would have in a heartbeat, and then I would have to print a Leviathan. So, the other thing I forgot to mention this. Even with all my nozzle clogs and whatnot, that case prints on a kilogram reel with no issue.
Nice.
So
it's like
when you break
£20, it's a $20 box.
Right. Yeah. So you figure $40 for a double wide, and then the Leviathan's going to be an $80 case. Which, if you look at how much battle foam costs and whatnot,
oh yeah,
it's pretty comparable, if not cheaper.
Yeah.
Plus,
no, it would be.
You can pick what color you want.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely good. I played a game this week, which is so unusual. I haven't really played anything for a good couple of months.
And if I remember correctly, not only did you play a game, but you said you won.
I know.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Like, we make the joke about me losing all the time. Also, for the record, this is a game with D6s.
What, you didn't roll ones?
I mean, I did roll ones, but clearly not as much as I rolled everything else. We make a joke about how I roll ones all the time on the podcast. For those that don't know, this comes from me fairly notoriously being hated by dice. This isn't just I'm going to moan and complain about it because things didn't go my way. I have witnesses, many witnesses, over a very long period of time. So we were playing Mars Code Aurora, which is it's a French game. It's kind of simplified kill team, simplified Necromunda. The world is basically, it was a Mars colony and something has gone wrong and all of the different factions are now fighting for control over something. I was playing with I want to say they're called the Domination. Basically, it was the equivalent of the Necrons. And I had some close combat robots. I had some other robots that had a blade and a laser gun, and I had a flamer that died really quickly. I won, which is just like I just don't win games very often. It's very unusual for me to win. I granted, like when I'm playtesting, when I'm playtesting Entropy City, I'm usually losing anyway because I'm kind of treating it like a demo game where I take all of the risks to see what works out and what doesn't. But just generally speaking, I don't tend to. I've never won a game of Bushido, for example. I did win a game of Bot War, but I'm pretty sure I've only won 2 games in the last 5 years. It might be 3, depending on when I played Wild West Exodus with Chris last, but I'm pretty sure it was more than 5 years ago.
This is why I play co-op games, because then I don't have to worry about,
Look, I'm not moaning about winning and losing. Like that's just, I had a hell of a lot of fun, and not because I won. It was just fun anyway. In fact, I didn't think I was winning until right at the end, where I realized, oh, hang on. Because like things were going well, but they weren't going well enough that I noticed that they were going well.
Yeah, I know what you like. We were playing Catan, and when I say we, Casey, Sam, and my mom, he had never played it before, and 10 victory points to win. I'm sitting here calculating, and I win, right? And we're calculating the points and everything. And here's my mom, never played the game before. She's sitting there with 9, like, how'd you do that? And she's like,
Yeah. Sometimes that's the best way of winning a game when you don't know how you've done it too. Like it's just worked out that way.
oh, she knew what she was doing. She was just being modest.
Oh, okay. She picked up
She's-
things. No, that's fair enough. But no, it's a lot of fun. Like I said, it does use D6s. It's fairly simple. We were playing a scenario with like 2 drones that were like traveling around the board, and like that each take a turn in activating. There's a deck of cards. You get a deck, so you get 1 card for every troop that you have on the ground. So I had like 6 or 7 cards. Other people had 5. Other people had 6. But then there's 3 face cards in there as well. If your suit gets drawn, then you get to activate one of your units. If the first face comes up, then the last person that activated gets to choose which of the 2 drones activates, and then it will move 10 centimeters towards whoever shot last. If it gets too close to you, you can't shoot, basically, because you're inside this bubble where it turns down all of the weapons. When the second one comes up, the other one activates, and when the third one comes up, the round is over, which potentially could mean that you don't actually get to activate all of your units. This happened to me most of the time. There was a turn where I only got to activate 1 person. There was a turn when I only got to activate 2 people, and then I was pretty lucky on the other ones. But like we had one round where it was like somebody got to activate like 3 things, somebody got to activate 2 things, and I got to activate 1. So we kind of all got shortchanged there.
That's a really interesting element of randomness.
It's kind of similar to how bolt action do the whole you're drawing the dice out of the bag
Dice out of
thing.
the bag.
Because yes, I may get to activate 3 things in a row, but then I get stuck waiting because all of my stuff's been used, and then you just get to ruin me, in theory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But because you don't know when the turn's going to end, you can only plan for so much too. So I really enjoyed it. I'm definitely playing it again. I am definitely building. I think I want to build the team that I was playing, but just do it in my own way with my own minis rather than playing with somebody else's. We've also been talking about playing The Doomed with the same group of people. The Doomed is a game from Osprey, because Osprey release new games like every 3 weeks. Some of them are good, some of them are not. It's just one of those things when you're a publishing house. It's a sci-fi world that's kind of gone bad, and they've kind of regressed technology-wise. In the book, everything kind of looks like it's fantasy-esque, but with sci-fi stuff, and basically whatever's gone wrong in this world has attracted all of these horrors. It's very Cthulhu-esque. And it's just kind of like, it's one of these games where you can kind of do anything you want with it. I have a book incoming for it. I also have the book for Burrows and Badgers incoming as well, hence why I decided to talk about it today. Me and Eugene have already Eugene was like, I'd love to play this with somebody one day, but nobody's ever been interested. And I went, I have been looking at this game for 4 years. I am so in. And then I've basically done nothing but look at that for the last 2 days. It's a problem for me. I have to be very careful with it. Now, at least now that I'm self-aware of it, I don't let myself get out of control all the time like I was here a few years ago. And when it's a game like that, I can spend like $100 and I will never have to buy anything for it ever again.
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, I could 3D print everything as well, but I don't want to do that. I actually want to buy some of the minis because I want them. Well, I'm buying that bulldog. He is the leader of my crew. But I'm going to paint him in a way where he doesn't look like a hero from a paladin background. I'm going to paint him up to look like he's a nasty boy.
No, he's a good boy.
He's a very good boy, and he will tell you that with a beating to the face until you believe him.
Tournaments, demos, conventions, that kind of stuff.
This is the same stuff that we mentioned last time, but I still want to go through it. Melbourne Figure Painting Collective takes place on the last Sunday of every month. It happens at the Kathleen Syme Library, which is 251 Faraday Street in Carlton, from 12 till 5. I should probably try and prime some stuff so that I can go. Because in theory, I could go this month. I think maybe I got to double check.
Do they have good Wi-Fi there?
No idea.
Because it's a Faraday. Faraday cage blocks
okay.
radio and Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So I can't resist them.
Danger Close. This is the Drop Zone Commander tournament that's taking place at Bristol Gaming Collective. Takes place on the 28th of January. It is 1,750 points. You can get tickets from eventbrite.com. On the previous one, Instagram.com/M for Mary, F for Fred, P for Peter, .collective. We also have the Dropfleet Commander Space Station competition going up. That's actually coming towards the end now. So you've only got a couple of weeks to get your stuff finished. So you need to be a member of the Dropfleet Commander community. You should be a member of that anyway, quite frankly, if you're into Dropfleet Commander. Michelle's post is very easy to find. Just do a search for it. The first part of the competition is a build competition where you're just building something from the kits that TTCombat sell. You have to have it built and painted by the 31st of January. The second part is a painting competition. So this needs to be
closed. The best painted is
never
closed.
Mind. No, it's
He just
the first
updated
part
us.
that's still open.
Yep. So the build and paint is still open. Best painted has been closed. Winners have been picked. So
Yeah, no, that's fair.
TTCombat will be announcing that.
And finally, ArcFest. I kind of touched on this last episode. Arc has always been a 40k event and arguably like one of the largest in the country, certainly the largest in Melbourne. They are doing ArcFest. It seems like they're trying to make this like a proper tabletop event. I mean, PAX has tabletop stuff, but it's not like it's mostly everything else. I'm kind of hoping that this goes really well. I don't know. So there's definitely Infinity stuff. Obviously, there is 40k stuff and that happening. There's a whole heap of other games that are part of this now as well. It's taking place at the Sandown Racecourse, arc40k.com. I would definitely recommend checking it out if you're into any of the games that's being played. I think it's pretty fair to say that if you're in Melbourne and you're a gaming person and you want there to be more events like this, you need to go. I don't know if they sell tickets for like spectator stuff or not. If they do, I might try to go. But I'm not going as a player because there's nothing there that I play. Marvel Crisis Protocol is the other one that's there as well. And otherwise, that's it. Thank you to Valhalla Hobby for sponsoring us. Without them, there's a lot of things that we couldn't be doing. GettingTabled.com is certainly at the top of that list. The actual show at this stage is pretty much self-sufficient. I don't actually have to put money into it anymore. I've been doing that pretty much since we started. George was doing it for quite a long time as well, and like this is the first time we've ever completely fully had to stop that. So that's wonderful.
All the lights are on, and it's all because of the supporters and the sponsorship. So thank you to everyone.
Yep. Valhalla Hobby have a huge range of stuff that's available. You can find your 40k stuff, you can find your D&D stuff, you can find your Magic, but the thing that I always talk about is the fact that these guys have a real passion for the indie side of the community as well. It's how we both came together. They have a lot of ranges out there. They have all of your stuff from War Cradle. They have all of your stuff from TTCombat. You can buy your Bushido stuff. You can buy tons of different things available. If they don't have it in stock, they can get it for you. They have a real passion for the niche side of this business. And we need to be supporting companies that are taking the risk on that. Because it's really easy to get your 40k stuff in and then just live off that. But if we're ever going to see this business evolve to a point where everybody has an equal share of the pie, we need businesses like this to be supported. If you use the code TABLED, TABLED, at checkout, you'll get a 5% discount on any order over $100. It is a 1-year code. And this is not one that will expire now. It's just one that will continue for as long as it is that they are supporting us. Please support the people that support us. They have amazing prices regardless of the discount, so just do what you can. Thank you very much, Valhalla Hobby. Socks, tell people how they can get in touch with us.
If you want to become our Patreon for us, you can find us at patreon.com/gettingtabled. Our website is gettingtabled.com. Our Facebook and YouTube, our Facebook is facebook.com/gettingtabled, and that's where we're most active at. So, and then YouTube is getting a little bit bigger. So please subscribe at youtube.com/gettingtabled. And then if you're wanting to email us, Gmail or gettingtabled@gmail.com. And then X or Twitter and Instagram is @gettingtabled. And then you still doing your Twitch?
I do it casually, but yeah, it's still
occasionally.
Yeah.
So twitch.tv/Jason the Bruce, and then he's got a YouTube toy reel at youtube.com/toy reel.
Yep. Speaking of the YouTube, I mentioned this very briefly earlier. There's a video that I released this week that talks about postal redirection services. If there's small companies out there that have products that you want but can't offer postage to you in a way that you find reasonable, which is usually because they don't have a choice in the matter, just for the record. Because generally speaking, the companies out there that are offering free postage is because they make enough profit that they will just wear that. Because it usually means that they're selling things at like 80% their market value or whatever, which is fine. Everybody's going to make business. But sometimes if you're a small business, you can't afford to take that risk. So redirection services is like a service where you get it shipped to them and then they ship it to you, and generally it works out to be a little cheaper. In the research that I did, I actually managed to save myself quite a significant amount of money. If there are things out there that you can't get for that reason, or they don't ship to you for some reason, have a look at the video. There's no affiliate links in there. There's no nothing in there. It's just information. I'm very, very proud of that video. So it hasn't been looked at a lot, so hopefully that'll start picking up. Thank you, gentlemen. And George.
It's fun.
Hey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matyas at soundimage.org.